Hi, my name is Shuli Goodman. I'm the Executive Director of LF Energy. We're a Linux Foundation project. I am based in Sebastopol, California. I am in the West Coast of the United States. I want to welcome you, each and every one of you, from joining us. And I would like to be able to talk to you, and I'm going to do a mix of just speaking directly to the camera, and there are going to be times probably where I'm going to read from a little bit of a cheat sheet that's sitting in front of me. And it's actually quite challenging to figure out how to communicate using a camera in my office at home in a way in which you actually will see me looking at you and acknowledging you and that you have joined us. Because I really want to make sure that each and every one of you is recognized for taking the time to come together with us, to learn, to share, and to build community. For some, it is really quite late. Those of you in India and Australia, Japan, China, and for others, it's really quite early. For those of you in British Columbia, the West Coast of the United States, the mountain regions of the United States, and for those of you in Europe, this is a pretty good time. It's in the middle of your day, but I appreciate that you're going to stay late and that you are participating fully and wholeheartedly. Our beautiful round Earth really is asking for us to show up. It's asking for us to show up in a different way, to be able to design the grid of the future from a different place than the grid of the grid that we designed in the past, that we're moving from centralized to distributed. These are all things that you know. But getting 150 people or more together virtually to think and share and learn and stay home, well, in that way, the world has gotten smaller. And I hope that all of you recognize that it is our intention to really create a vision of the world coming together, that we are not in silos of high, medium, and low voltage generation, distribution, and transmission, nor are we just, the European continent, the North American continent, and Asia and South America, that we're really seeking to find a harmonization so that we can create a new foundation upon which to build the grid of the future, that we literally create a pre-competitive platform that allows us to agree and build the common plumbing of the grid of the future so that we can accelerate innovation and ensure interoperability, security, and the future for decarbonization. All of us have an incredibly important job. There's no plan B. No one else can do this. But together, we can transform the grid. We can remove fossil fuels, we can enable renewable energy, and we can transition to electric mobility. And we are all going to do this in a single generation. In the next 20 to 30 years, we are going to fundamentally create and transform the world in ways that we can barely imagine from where we're sitting right now. It's quite staggering, but I believe that there are going to be so many innovations along the way towards decarbonization and mitigating climate change, but at the heart of it is going to be digitalization. And this digitalization and building the open source plumbing of the grid of the future, it is one of the great leverage points. I think most of you, regardless of whether you're a utility or you're a vendor or you're a supplier, understand that we don't have a lot of visibility out more than 3 to 5 years. And what makes LF Energy different than many other projects at the Linux Foundation is that at our heart, it is going to be a leverage development model. We have to build this together. And so what we're doing here today is beginning to create the foundations of taking an idea like asset monitoring and predictive maintenance and building on top of it and figuring out how to do it using something around digital twins or around configuration. We are beginning to develop in the open together and build community. I often ask people to imagine themselves 30 years from now. The reason why I do it is that if you close your eyes just for a second and imagine yourself 30 years forward. In the year 2050, how old will you be? How old will your children be? How old will your parents be? How old will your grandchildren be? The reason why I want you to do that is to recognize that there are things that take time to grow. Like a big tree in a forest. It takes years. It takes a generation. It takes 2 generations. Or it may take 5 or 10 generations. And so what we're doing here today is we're planting seeds for something that is going to come to fruition in the next generation. And that makes the importance of what we're doing just so remarkable. When I think about this planting the seeds of the future, I also really want everyone to recognize and imagine and conceive of that we have to take responsibility for how we show up and what it is that we put in and whether we put in more than we take. And there is no one right way to do this. It is going to be messy sometimes. It is going to feel like I have no idea what's going on, and I don't know if anybody else knows what's going on. But each of us together, if we actually stay true to the moment and keep ourselves fixed on that North Star, which is decarbonization and removing fossil fuels from our fuel and our transportation, we will find our way through this together. Because we know a lot more about innovation now than we did 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. So we're in a process. I welcome all of you. I believe that in order to be able to get to where we need to go, we all have to become the change that we want to see. So thank you very much for taking this journey. In closing, what I want to do is I want to thank a lot of people because this event truly did come out of thousands of hours of folks working together. So I want to thank the track leads, and I am going to start reading because they put enormous time into making this event possible. This is on top of their day jobs. I want to thank Jonas van den Bogard. I want to thank Benoit Janssen. I want to thank Sandra Johnson, Eric Holmes, Florent Carley, Bart Luchek, Sven Lees, David Wheeler, Mital Kanabar, Frederick Fussaret, Juanjo Huero, Gianluca Dionise, Marcus Mertz, Anto Monti, Alberto Abella, Tef Reed, Greg Thompson, and Ken Delaney. If I have mispronounced your name, please forgive me. It was a lot of names to try and get together. Anyway, you're going to get to hear from all these folks. And what I'm hoping is that not only that you will really give yourself to learning with them, sharing with them, and bringing your wisdom to the breakout group that you attend. But I also hope that at some point during the day, you'll have an opportunity to hear from them why this is important and why they are committed to LF Energy and why open source and shared development is a critical leverage point for accelerating innovation and the energy transition. This is not about cannibalizing capital. This is about changing floors, moving from one paradigm to a new paradigm. And there will be tremendous value that is created and wealth. And at the same time, what this requires is that we all kind of check some of our ways of being in the world at the door so that we can enter and recognize we're all going to be in this together. And these guys have absolutely shown their willingness to do that. There are also some others that I want to thank. There was a design committee that helped make this possible. So I want to thank Naveen Goswami, Sven Lees, Ahmed Abdel Majid, and Gianluca Dionise. Both in the tracks and in the design group, we have a folks that are coming from industry, we have folks that are coming from utilities, we have folks that are in academia, and I think that that's part of the miracle of this, is coming from so many different places. So I want to thank all of you. We could have done this without you. I want to thank Lucas from Quico Chat, and you've been a pleasure to work with. And I want to thank my colleagues, Jeffro, Osier Mixon, and Naomi Washington. Naomi really has taken point on organizing this group and organizing this workshop. She has worked collaboratively with Celia Stamps from the events crew, and together they really, I believe, have done everything to make this a pretty seamless event. So I'm going to talk to you on the other side. I'll pop in and out of different groups. Feel free to Slack me. I absolutely want to be there for you. I want to hear what is the problem you're trying to solve. If you have software that you want to open source, I want to talk with you about it. I want to share. We have our processes are in place. I can introduce you to the wiki, show you where the project proposals are, and I want to invite you into the community. And so this is the opportunity for being able to do that. So feel free to reach out to me, Slack me, and I will come and find you someplace and we can talk together. And if not today, that we will do it sometime in the next few weeks. Finally, what I would like to do is I'd like to introduce Gabrielle Burrow. It is really a pleasure for me to introduce him. Gabrielle and his colleague Lucien Balea came there from RTE, and Gabrielle now is the head of R&D at RTE. And they came to me and we had many, many conversations. And in those conversations, we created a vision of LF Energy. And it is truly because of their seeking this out, because RTE recognized they could not do this alone. They needed to do it with everyone all together, and that they have a global vision, that there is no way to actually do this and stay in our little countries or in our little states or in our little towns. But in fact, what we have to do is we have to come up with a coherent model that really enables the entire world to lift itself up and to decarbonize and to be able to provide the foundations for economic prosperity, health, and well-being for everyone. So I introduce you to Gabrielle. He is a great friend, and I am very happy that he is helping to kick off this event. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon.